It's May the 4th, so Star Wars. I have been practicing my force powers, so let's see how this goes. The force is strong with this one. So, it is time to take a little break from the Lego town and celebrate May the 4th with a Star Wars Lego set. As a Star Wars fan, it has been very difficult for me to keep my paws off some fancy Star Wars sets. I just don't have the room for the bigger sets. But perhaps I could allow myself to have just one of these dioramas. So let's put the human helpers to work and start building. Once again, it is time to open a new box. And there isn't that many parts, but I guess this is still gonna be some fun. The first thing to build was this Luke Skywalker minifigure. Then it was time to use those black pieces and build the base for the diorama. All of these Star Wars diorama sets have a similarly styled base. So it will have a black edge with those silver grill pieces. And that was the easy part done. Now it was time to create that swamp detail with some very small pieces. All of those brown plates will be eventually covered by those green transclear parts. But as they are semi-transparent, you can still see some of that color through those green pieces. And that is why those plates are still assembled with some color coordination, even though they will be covered. And once we were finished with the brown pieces, then it was time to start putting those green pieces in. First, some 1x1s with stud, then some round ones, and finally a ton of tiles. It took quite a lot of time to get that build from just 1x1 pieces, but I think the texture that it creates is quite interesting. And then it was time to create the ground layer. That had a nice irregular edge done with various wedge plates. After that, it was time to move on the main feature of this build, Yoda's hut and the surrounding trees. Both of those are of quite irregular shape and also curved shape, and it's always interesting to build something like that out of Lego. And it's quite a bit easier when you have a nice selection of slopes and curved pieces, like this set has. Little by little, that hut is starting to take shape. The part that will eventually form the door is actually being built by placing the bricks sideways. That technique is also called snot technique or studs not on top technique. That helps to create the curved detail around the door. It is starting to look like a hut already at this point. Time to open another bag, and in this bag we get the Yoda minifigure, and also enough parts to finish the hut and the trees around it. And here the final pieces around the door are placed. As you can see, some of the tree trunks were built while building the hut. Those trunks follow the shape of the hut quite closely, but now it was time to build the rest of the trunks. The back edge is quite flat, but then again it makes sense for a diorama set. The details need to end when they meet the edge of the base. Mostly. Some tree branches have some overhang in this set. The final dome piece is now placed on top of the hut. And then it's time to add the leaves and vines to the trees. And then it's time to open the final bag. It contains the finishing details. Those include some bushes, equipment, a snake, and the wing of the X-wing that is slightly poking out of the swamp. That X-wing wing is placed there into an interesting angle with a bracket piece. And that completes the build. Finally, it was time to create a scene using the minifigs. And without wasting any time, let's take a closer look of the finished product. So, here it is. The Dagobah Jedi Training. Here you can see the text print piece, the minifigures Yoda, R2-D2, and Luke Skywalker. There is also some equipment here, and of course the X-wing wing. And here you can see the effect that the different color plates make when they are seen through the trans-clear pieces. And the twisted trees add a nice backdrop to this scene. Luke Skywalker has a reversible head, so here you can see the close-up of the other face. This clear piece looks quite odd, but it has a specific purpose. It can be used to create this handstand training scene. And here you can see the backside of the model. The hut is open, so you can see the interior details better from this side. There is a pot of that extremely tasty food that Yoda cooks, and at the top there you can see Yoda's lightsaber. Of course, you can never see that in the original trilogy, but it makes sense that he would have it. And I managed to find a place for the set in the IKEA Galax shelf. Perhaps I could fit another diorama there too. So, that was the Dagobah Jedi Training set. Even though I love Star Wars, I have to admit that when it comes to Lego, I like the modular buildings more. But it was still nice to build something different. But when I placed that diorama in the cabinet, it looked quite empty. So perhaps I should add another one. I have a specific one in my mind already. And I will reveal it in the next video. I will upload that next video ASAP, but remember, when a Sloth says that, it means as slowly as possible. Bye bye!